Earth in Forest Park I walked upon, feeling inspiration coming on. Steve on the band steps singing, the park to his music ringing. Near at hand, Bob with his impromptu band, feeling the sun's heat, music with a recycled beat. Proudly the tree we planted this morning stood, a moment in time that did tell, a hope that was and all would be well. This is one I did. I got roped. I dug the hole for the tree, and this is after the the day after the event. Day's work done. Enjoyed a coke in the evening sun. For the tree planting tomorrow, I dug the hole. Show was hard. Bless my soul. Now at the sky view, helping Steve. Another tribute to Buddy Holly achieve. 114 years on, the sky view still going strong. Well within people's reach, entertainment for $5 each. In your wallet, it don't make a dent. Under 5, it don't cost a cent. Steve's done his sound check song, says it ain't that catchy and it ain't that long. Now we wait for folks to arrive and let the evening come alive. This was a poem, this actually happened. A guy in a wheelchair at one of the old people's homes says, will you shake the hand of an old sailor man? And I said, yeah, if you'll shake the hand of a retired fireman. Yeah. An old sailor man and a retired fireman shook each other's hand. Age didn't matter, they had a brief natter, and I captured in rhyme another precious moment in time. And again, on the very same day, again this is about putting others before your own needs. Some sung, poems recited, guests delighted. Instruments played, a short time we stayed. Gave folks pleasure, another moment to treasure. 'Cause without doubt, that's what life should be about. Not doing our worst, but putting others first. I'm Trevor, the Old Poet. Thank you. God bless. I'm actually at McCallum this year because of the way things have fallen, but I will be there with you in spirit.
Great, and we hope you're there next year.
I'm going to read from a book I had come out last year. It's got some prose poems in it. I don't know if you've ever heard of prose poems, but they were invented around the same time as the short story was invented. It seems like a paradox there, prose poems. Anybody have a dress on? This one I'm going to read is called Dress, and it comes from the one time I wore a dress. I told my mom I wanted to dress up as a woman for Halloween, and my mom said, no, you don't want to do that. I was only 15 years old, and I was growing up in suburbia. I didn't know that it was a terrible, terrible thing, for men to wear a dress. It was Halloween, so I dressed up as a woman for Halloween, and that was my experience wearing a dress. So it's just called Dress. Everyone, at least once in his or her life, should wear a dress. Now, Drew's known a few men who wear dresses regularly, and others who get dressed up on special occasions. Sinclair Lewis, the author, got drunk at a Minnesota party. He went upstairs to the hostess's closet and picked out an evening gown to impress the flappers. A certain filmmaker, whose name Drew thinks was Ed Wood, not only revived the dead career of horror actor Bela Lugosi, but would also drop into a dress whenever stressed. For a moment, he'd turn into a luxurious Hollywood doll, and his tensions would evaporate. Here is a solution much healthier than heroin or scotch. Drew goes for the classical styles made of 100% cotton. He digs bright flower patterns. When you wear a dress, it's like you've left the front door open, inviting whatever animal passing by to stop in. Your legs develop a relationship to the infinite drafts flowing down by the floor. They are whispering to you all their secrets, what they've picked up wandering down the hallways, from room to room, across rivers and ponds, deserts and mountains. The dress is the opposite of armor. It displays both your vulnerability and your trust. A dress is also a dance of the 7 veils, or can be more flowing, less bold and stiff than a slit skirt, less suggestive of bondage. If Drew were a woman, he'd never wear dresses or skirts. He would worship pants as a god. Throughout most of recorded history, a huge sign in the sky, made of iron, dangled above over women. You must wear a dress. The world doesn't deserve women wearing dresses. The world contains too much dope, rape, destruction, and war. But women don't think about it. They persevere. I can't say that word. They persevere. They continue to love, leaving themselves open for what begins life and what bears life. When they step out into the light wearing, like petals on a sunflower opening, a dangerous dress. I come to Austin a lot of times to see my grandkids, but another reason I come is to read Michael Ventura's Letters at 3 a.m. in the Austin Chronicle. I don't get to see it every time, but he's up in Connie's neighborhood now. He's moved back to Lubbock, Texas. And I think the last time I was here, he had an artist manifesto calling on artists to do something to save our democracy and to support progressive change in the world. He's founded a little small press called Letters at 3 a.m. Press up in Lubbock. This week he was talking about old age and whether it's worth going on if you're a writer and you no longer can write. And unlike Hemingway, he decides it is worth going on. In fact, sitting at a park bench watching the world is enough reason to live, and just noting the beauty in the world and giving that energy back to those beautiful things is a counter move to the destruction of most history. This is called However Brief. Howard's up in the mountains in San Miguel de Allende at an arts community 2 hours east by curving roads from Mexico City. He's come to dream himself a poet amongst artists after 4 years in Japan, where he's been making $4,000 a month in salary and $2,000 a month on the stock market. Howard's an impractical human, a guy who before Japan hid in the woods in a tent and didn't own a working car. Howard would never call himself poor. How can he be poor when he's studied Plato's Republic and has read all of Chaucer, Faulkner, Shakespeare, and Tolstoy? How can he be poor when he knows by heart all of Beethoven's 9 symphonies, most of Mozart, and Stravinsky's Rite of Spring, plus Degas and Van Gogh? No, he can't be poor. But many times he's been low on money, but never so low as not to have something in the cupboard to eat or some homey place to stay. But now, Howard finds himself on a December night in San Miguel, sitting in an outdoor bistro across from the plaza lit up with Christmas lights, drinking an overpriced Corona beer. His friend Hopper is sitting next to him. Hopper's back from an afternoon of curio shopping and has a bag full of trinkets he won't be able to find in his garage back home in 6 months. And he's furious at Howard because an Indian boy, about 8 years old, carrying his baby sister on his back, came into the cafe and tried to sell both of them handmade items. Howard has given the boy $300, American. The boy's hands had started shaking slightly, and his body moved, Howard noticed, in a tense and angular way, out of a sudden wonder in the midst of absolute need. His friend Hopper quotes the Bible in his high, sarcastic way, "The poor will always be with us," stretching out the distance between the Prince of Peace and the people he is speaking of, making it seem a condemnation to give charity. Howard looks across to a side street onto the plaza and sees the boy with his mother. He can tell by their animated movements that they have forgotten him, the foreigner, the old man, but they are happy and are dreaming. A small space of hope, however brief, has opened as if a saint had come down from heaven and blessed them. As to his friend Hopper, well, he's an emotionally repressed son of Irish immigrants. He can't read the map of his own emotions. His sudden shot of anger, Howard knows, is momentary jealousy. It hurts when someone does a little good and you are merely your normal flesh of self. But his anger, however, will be brief, gone in the morning. These are all arranged alphabetically, these poems, and all the names are for each. You could pick a letter, and that's why it's called magical, fantastical, alphabetical soup. You don't have to be locked in the prison of a narrative of read from front to back. You can just jump in anywhere you feel like it. And these things are longer, so maybe I'll just read one more, or maybe I've gone over my time. Again, since thinking of Michael Ventura and his aesthetic manifesto in a Chronicle a couple weeks ago, calling on all us artists to do what we can to make it a better world. This is called, Isn't It, Jack? I can't tell you all the times I'd be out there protesting if I had the time, if I didn't have to work night and day to earn the almighty buck, if I didn't have to fix the car when it breaks down, do laundry and get the kids off to school, and then when my wife has to take the bus to the nursing home where she works because I need my old junk car to drive 40 miles to my job in Dallas. Don't think I'm stupid or don't care because we haven't made the rent at times. They put our stuff right on the curb for people to take. Don't think I don't know what's right because I've spent time in jail for unpaid parking tickets and stuff. Right off, I want to say my woman shouldn't have to transfer twice on the Fort Worth buses and leave for work 90 minutes ahead of time if this country had decent transportation. I don't like what's happening with our weather. I know about the tons of shit that's coming out of the butts of these billions of cars and airplanes and trucks. I want an earth that my kids can live on. One where they won't get burned up in searing heat or die of cancer young from the chemicals we're shooting in the animals we eat and spraying on the crops. They came along and invented all these machines. Not just cars and trucks and planes and atom bombs, but the computers and the gizmos in factories that put people out of work. And they said these devices made more leisure time. They said we'd have more hours to be with our families. But I saw on TV that people are sleeping 6 hours a night instead of 8. And that'll give them sickness later on in life. What good are all these machines if they muck up the earth and sky and make us have to slave like machines? Now, I'm not against work. I like work. I want to pay my own way. But I love my family too. And I don't like being worried all the time about the rent or if we got enough to eat. My grandparents lived on a farm and built their own house with their neighbors' help. They grew a lot of their own food. If I had a house, I could plant a garden, but I can't afford the rent on such a place. Why can't I get a steady job so my wife can cut back and spend more time with the boys and cook them decent food instead of the fast food crap we end up eating at the drive-thru that costs so much? If I had a place to grow some things I could share with my neighbors and get to know them. I can't tell you all the shit I'd protest if I had the time and didn't have to stress out struggling for all the almighty dollar. But that's the way it works. That's the way they want us. Broke and suffering. Slaves of labor all the time. Isn't it, Jack? Isn't it? That's why we now pay for cell phones at both ends of the line. So we can be working for free, off the clock, while driving in our cars or feeding the kids at home. Isn't it, Jack? That's my angry poem for the night. I'm not always angry.
Dr. Charles Taylor.
Persian tea. Like a well-strummed guitar, I have been used, but only just. The fingertips that have become calloused from playing me have only left skin-deep marks, vibrating my heartstrings until now, where I stand fine-tuned and ready to be composed. In my hands, I hold the past and the future, brewed over a gas stove fire and poured together with an infusion of rosewater into a teapot full of stories, its sides brushed delicately with red and gold paint. The hand that pours this elixir into my eager cup is the color of moonlight on golden sand, and feels as smooth as the ocean, a woman's hand. Accompanied by a voice sweet enough to kiss, my abyss is beginning to crack with its sudden fullness. I inhale this tea, filling every pore, every fiber of my being, opening to receive its cleansing steam. I close my eyes and allow my senses to be awakened. Salt tears making trails down my cheeks, music drifting from the very walls, causing my legs to vibrate with the need to dance. I oblige, spinning away the turmoil without spilling a single drop, until my feet grow weary and I stop, sinking to the ground, grinning, a fresh gleam in my eyes, and my teacup held out in front of me. She bends down, her black curls spilling over her shoulder onto her white dress. Drink, she commands, and I do.
Yeah.
Bye. So I work at a daycare, and ever since I put in my 2 weeks notice, I've taken care of the 2-year-olds. So it's my boss's way of getting back at me.
Yeah.
This one is entitled, Not Okay. At the daycare where I work, we teach the kids to say, not okay, when something is not okay. These blunt words have caused more fights than they've stopped. So of course, we as their teachers use much more eloquent speech. And so has been with every disagreement. We hash out our feelings, pressing words to their limits and using synonyms to not sound redundant or stupid. With each hardship I have faced, I have sat up late nights with a cup of coffee growing cold in my left hand and explaining away each struggle with the pen in my right, until I run out. But one struggle has reduced me to the emotional equivalent of a 2-year-old. The fierce brutality of cancer has shriveled my tongue and wrung my hands to shreds. And with each attack, either read a newspaper, heard on the phone, or watched personally, the only words I am able to think or speak is not okay. So this one is for my older daughter, whose father is sort of in the picture. And this is generally what happens when he calls. He calls the night before to give her promises of tomorrow, and she says, "I love you," and goes to bed without a fight, because tomorrow can't come fast enough for her. In the morning, she sits still while I brush her hair and finds a favorite dress to wear, because she can't wait to show him how pretty it is when she twirls like a ballerina. I pack her backpack with dolls and markers and extra clothes and tell her I'll miss her. She waits impatiently, dancing around the house like a firecracker on the 4th of July. And as I watch with fingers crossed and bated breath, the call comes. He's not coming again. Maybe next week. Shoes are removed and hair ties yanked out with tears pouring down her sweet little face. I tried to kiss them away and hold her close, but it's not my lips or arms she wants. So she takes her dolls and her markers out of her backpack and lays on her bed with them, face down on a pillow. This one is untitled and was written recently. They said I was strong, patted my head and sent me on my way. They forgot about me, so fast I almost didn't exist, until I smeared lipstick on and brushed my eyes with a sparkle. And they said I looked beautiful. And I'm doing so well. They're so proud of me. But then they forgot about me while I walked upstairs in heels with soft baby breath whispering on my cheek, trusting me to be strong while I unravel behind his broad shoulders and straight back. I tell him my feet are worn and tired. My back bends to almost snapping. My head pounds like the hammers that build sturdy houses in my dreams. And my heart is cracked like the foundation beneath my feet. While I only exist as a pinprick in the back of their minds, I cry here, with his arms around me, alone and forgotten. Okay, so this last one is actually, I wrote last year at Forest Fest, so it's about Lamesa. I love the way the earth touches the sky here and goes on forever. I could lay with my arms wide and inhale the dust. This is the kind of place where I crave water like I crave faith, and the colors are painted hope on my soul. Love is the mud on my fingers, the crumble of dirt in the palm of my hand, the electricity of a desert storm, the first drops of spring rain on my face, cool and cleansing. A flash of lightning, a crack of thunder. My desert, love collides with a boom in my heart and in the rolling Texas sky.
Well, there used to be a time when our hard work was good as gold. There was money set aside for when we got sick or got old. But now they've sold a bill of goods they call a 401k, where it's stolen there in Wall Street, in that rigged game that they play. It's not redistribution to get back what we are owed. It is holy retribution to strip all the CEOs who mega rich have stolen from us all. We'll change that tune. Tell both parties, tell the pundits, tell them all we are coming soon. Well, there used to be a time when we were paid for what we're worth. Was no better place to labor and be valued on this earth. But in the name of mega profits sent our jobs away, and our lives are less than dirt to them. We are nothing but their slaves. It's not redistribution to get back what we are owed. It is holy retribution to strip all the CEOs. The mega rich have stolen from us all. We change that tune. Tell the parties, tell the pundits, tell them all, we are coming soon. Well, there is a coming time when bills of justice will come due. Mega crooks will give us back what they stole from me and you. You can help us win that war on that patriotic day. If you're not part of the team, then get the hell out of the way. It's not redistribution to get back what we are owed. It is holy retribution to strip all the CEOs. The mega rich have stolen from us all. We'll change that tune. Tell both parties, tell the pundits, tell them all, we are coming soon. We're coming.